If you've been itching to learn JSON files and dictionaries, you came to the right place. Maybe. I'm not going to go over JSON from first principles here. Instead, we're going to use it in a deliberately simple to-do app. This kind of project is almost a rite of passage for coding channels at this point. My aim is to help teach how to structure a small project, think about hidden details in a program, and make design decisions that still apply when the project gets bigger. I'm assuming you've at least seen a JSON video before, and at the very least know what a dictionary is, but I'm not expecting exceptional knowledge here. So enough yapping, import JSON. Planning is the first step, and being honest here, a lot of the stuff I'm going to go over is overkill for this kind of project. But as I've said, you can scale the principles up to an actual project. So keep that in mind if you think I'm doing too much for a simple app. First, ask yourself, what keeps a program running indefinitely until the user quits it? The word loop should have popped into your head, and it's where the main function comes in. The main function doesn't do much, nor should it. It runs the loop until the order is given to stop. So what's actually happening here? Functions can return values, and we can use the value it returns to control a program flow. Menu runs, and whatever it returns gets stored into a variable. If it returns the string exit, the loop is broken and the program ends. But now onto the actual planning part. Break it down into its responsibilities. What does the entire program need to do? And what parts of it can be decomposed and isolated? Is there any parts that need repeating? Write it down in a list. I got showing the menu, the ability to add a task, viewing all tasks, marking a task as complete, and deleting a task. Each of these can and should be coded independently of the rest. Draw out a tree diagram or a flowchart or something similar which allows you to track the progress of the code. Here is an example of what I mean. We start at main, which is just a loop factor. It goes down to menu, which can trickle down into multiple subroutines. When one subroutine is done, it is back to the menu, which itself leads to the main once the user is done with it. This tells you that main runs the program and is decided on the return values of menu. The menu itself has a bunch of independent tasks, which do their jobs and return back to menu after completion. Menu may decide when the program ends, based on user input, but main actually does the work of exiting it. You may also want to write out a table with what independent bit is responsible for what, and how deep it's in. Alternatively, you could use some pseudocode or even both. In fact, I have a project where I did some light pseudocode first, and that video is still pending. So let's actually get writing. The user has 5 options but can enter anything. If you're thinking of doing a while loop, you'd be correct. While true forces the loop to repeat indefinitely until something breaks out of it. We can ask the user the question, making sure we strip any white space to reduce the chance they enter something incorrectly. First thing I'd say the program should do is check the exit condition, as if the user does want to exit, it allows it to quickly do so without going through everything else. So how would you do it? What if they misunderstood and typed in something that should be correct but isn't? That last bit is important, and in the real world, alpha and beta testers usually figure them stuff out. I intended it so they press 5 to exit, but someone might reasonably assume that they should press E instead, giving multiple options that I needed to consider. You might think to solve this, an if statement with ORs is needed, but there's something a lot neater. In case you didn't know, Python has something called a membership operator. It is used to test if a sequence is presented in an object. In this situation, whatever the user entered, it is tested against the set, and if it passes, we return the string exit. So now we can safely assume that the user doesn't want to exit. But what if they enter something completely random, like the letter R for instance? If you don't know what to do, note that another membership operator is called not in. The logic is exactly the same. If they pass these 2 bits, we can safely assume that they want to do something with the program, so we just break out of the while loop and move on to the first function. Add task. Let's see if we can break this down further. If needed, use pseudocode or something similar, and really think about it. When you add a task to your to-do list, you need a label or a title. For example, dishes. And you shouldn't have two of the same task. Presumably, once you did something, you don't need to redo it. Append tasks to the list. As you approach your tasks, you may find out that you need to break them down further. As of right now, you just need to ask for the title. If you can recall, a while loop as a safety net is a good idea. Then we actually open a file. And what did I do wrong? Have a moment. I first assumed that the JSON file exists in the first place, and I assumed that the JSON was filled with valid JSON. I could do this manually, physically make a file and fill it outside the runtime, but let's be extra safe and make the program more robust by defensively initializing JSON if it doesn't exist. For this, we need two error names, file not found and a JSON code error. The former is self-explanatory. The latter means that the JSON file is empty or contains invalid JSON material. So we try to load the file. If that doesn't work, we literally make a new one and we dump an empty list inside of it. We have to dump something, as you can iterate over an empty list, but you can't iterate over nothing. Now that that's out of the way, we can actually open a file. If you're familiar with text files or CSS files, it's basically the same thing. You do with open, as it automatically closes after. Then you write as file. Why? Well, what you're actually doing is creating a file object in read mode and calling that object file. So you have a .object, but how do you make something tangible with it? In case you don't know, you need to use something called load, if that rings a bell. If it doesn't, I'll explain. You need to convert the information in JSON to a Python data structure. Load reads it and converts it into a list of dictionaries, which is stored in the variable. Now that we open the file and have something to work with, let's double check that there isn't a duplicate. There's more than one way to accomplish this. One way is a Boolean value mixed in with for loops. Another is using the any function. I myself am using the any function, but I'll show on screen at least one other way. Any works like this. If anything passed inside the function is equivalent to true, it acts as true. I made a video in more detail for the any and all functions. Hopefully you have a shot at this, because I'm about to show you the code. It looks daunting, but it's just less comprehension. First, the variable we just defined, tasks, is a list of dictionaries. So we want to go through every item in the list. Every item is a dictionary. This can be read as for every dictionary in the list of dictionaries. As I'm sure you know, dictionaries are just a bunch of key value pairs, and we are here for that value to make sure it is unique. For that, we can call the key that the value is associated to within a dictionary, and we ask, is this exactly equal to what the user has asked? If not, it is a false, so we iterate on it. If so, it is true, and we stop iterating and follow through the if statement. If we iterate over it all and none comes as true, then we go to else. Effectively, this is read as, for every dictionary in the list of dictionaries, if the value associated to the key, title, is the exact same as the user's input, the if statement is true, so print out the message. Else, break out of the while loop. Then we just add the new dictionary to the list of dictionaries, which you should know how to do. If you do not know, here it is, but I recommend you stop watching and read up on dictionaries first. But all we did was update the list of dictionaries, not the JSON itself. For that, we need to open the JSON in write mode and dump the updated list into the file object. Here's that code and we are done adding tasks. Next up is reading the JSON to the user in a friendly way. For this, I'll use enumerate after I opened it up in read mode. Let me explain. I'm sure you now know how to open a JSON in read, but we need to iterate over it. And it's more readable if there's a number beside the task. You could alternatively store the number in the JSON itself as a 2D dictionary, but I've chosen to do it this way instead. Enumerate is just like a standard for loop, except you're counting the amount of loops that you have done. It automatically starts at 0, which conventionally doesn't make sense. Hence, we start at 1. Ignore that. We read this as, for every dictionary in the list of dictionaries, print out this f string, where we call the respective values. In the case of title, The enumerate allows us to add a number each iteration. And we're done with that function. Now let's see how we mark each task as complete. But before I go through it, I did something different with this one. I asked the user what item they want to complete before the function. I then passed the argument into the function with the parameter item. It works exactly the same as before, but I just wanted to show that this is a valid way for doing things too. And when you get onto things like doing abstraction, will come in handy very frequently. Anyways, this function is very similar to adding tasks. If you understand one, you can reason through the other, which is why I recommend pausing here and trying it yourself. There is more than one way to do this. Of course, you open it in read mode. You are trying to see if what the user has entered matches it or not. If it doesn't, then you simply cannot mark it as complete as it doesn't exist. I use the any function here, although the all function or a for loop could work as well if you're using the any function. Keep in mind the operator not. Alright, I'm gonna spoil the answer now. That part means is there at least one task whose title equals a user's input? If so, do this. When we put not in front of it, it becomes is there at least one task whose title equals the user input? If not, do this. It makes the code cleaner and more readable rather than an if statement that contains bulky codes followed by the else. Now that we know it exists, we update the complete key corresponding to the correct title. Have a quick go at doing this. My instinctive approach was a for loop, where we go through every dictionary in the list, checking the title key. Then if it's what the user wants, we update to complete key. And just like that, when we add to the list, we open the file object in write mode and fill the data in. And that's the penultimate function done. For the final bit, we are going to delete items from the list. But before I teach you, I want you to know that there's something called del. Del is a statement that removes a reference. It can remove variables, attributes, item from lists, and even a key value pair from a dictionary. Other than that, there is nothing new in this function that I haven't shown you before. So have a go at yourself. There's more than one way to do this, but you contain the knowledge within this video to accomplish it yourself. Okay, hopefully you succeeded. If you didn't, or were unsure on something, I'm going to walk through it now. First, we open a JSON object in read mode. Before doing a if not statement, we return the user if the item doesn't exist. Alternatively, you could have embedded this in a while loop until the user gets something correct. Then, using enumerate, we have to find the title the user wants to remove. But why enumerate and not a normal for loop? Well, remember what task is. It is pointing to a dictionary, not the position in that dictionary. So once we identify it's the dictionary we're gunning for, we delete that position in the list just before dipping. Then we dump it into the JSON so it actually saves. And that's the project done. Or is it? You may have noticed something by now. We repeat a lot of the code. For example, we read from JSON and write to JSON and validate data in almost the same way across multiple functions. So what if instead of rewriting it each time, we made one function and just reused all of that? In a larger scale project, that actually becomes more important, not only to save time, but in case there's a bug, it's easier to fix one function than it is going through all the code and finding every single time it repeats. This is actually called abstraction, and it's so important that I have to make a separate video just focusing on it. So if you didn't know what abstraction was or are confused about it, watch this video here when I make it. And if it's not on screen, consider subscribing so you get notified when I do make it.